Hey guys, welcome back to another lesson. Let's talk about blues, and specifically about how to play your blues chords and make them sound more interesting. When you get into blues for the first time on piano, you're told, well, use dominant seventh chords, right? You have a basic blues progression, a C dominant 7, to an F dominant 7, then maybe a G, back to an F, back to a C. Now you might play this using inversion, so you might play the C like this, the F like this, then maybe the G like this, and then back to the F. Kind of, I guess, okay, but not very interesting sounding chord progression. Now what we're going to do is we're going to switch up these chords by adding higher tensions. We're going to play, instead of like a 7th chord, 9th chords, and we're going to alter the different degrees. So we might sharpen the 9th or flatten the 9th, or we might sharpen the 5th or flatten the 5th, and so on. So let's look at a few such progressions of chords. We're going to also spice up a little bit the original chord progression by adding maybe the major 2nd, then maybe even the major 6. Alright, so for the first chord, instead of playing a C dominant 7, let's play a C dominant 7 but with a sharp 9. Right? This is, if you look at the C major scale, you have the degrees 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then we're going to sharpen it. Now just hear how much tension this has, because the sharp 9 actually clashes pretty strongly with the major 3rd, but it still sounds kind of good. You can tremolo, right? You can just alter. And this actually leads quite nicely, if you keep the top note fixed, to an F dominant 7. Now, we can, let's say, use a progression of a C to an F, to a D, to a G. So we have our C sharp 9, C dominant 7 sharp 9, to the F, and then maybe for the D dominant 7th chord, we can add the 9th, but flatten it. So now we have a flat 9. And sometimes you'd also want to flatten the 5. Just kind of like playing an A flat dominant 7th chord, just with an inversion of it, over the bass of D. So a lot of tension, but it kind of works well when you play it strongly, forcefully, and fast enough. And then finally, instead of playing a simple G dominant 7th chord, let's sharpen the 5 and also add the 9, sharpen the 5, add the 9, and sharpen the 9. So we're going to move this sharp 9 down here, and maybe take this F down here and omit the root. I'm just going to play it with the left hand anyway. And here's kind of a nice voicing full of tension for our G dominant 7th chord. Okay, let's look at another example. Let's play, say, our C dominant 7th up here. No tricks, just a regular C dominant 7th with an inversion, so I'm just taking this B flat down an octave. And let's follow this up with an A dominant 7, but we're gonna sharpen the 5. And I'm not gonna play the root, I'm just gonna double the 7th. You don't have to do this, it doesn't make a big difference. But I'm already playing the root on the left hand, there's no real need to double it up here. Now if we want to make this, again, add more tension, we can add the sharp 9. And really what we're going to play is we're going to take our voicing for the G7 sharp 5 sharp 9 and just move it up to semitones, right? So here's one, and here's the second, and here's our A dominant 7 voicing. So and then let's play a D dominant 7, but as before, we're gonna add the 9, but sharpen it. And we're gonna omit the 5th. Usually the 5th is kind of a boring degree. You might consider omitting it, you don't have to, we can play it. But I kind of like the more open sound of this D dominant 7 sharp 9. And instead of playing a G dominant 7 to finish up this progression, we're going to play a G dominant 7 but with a sharp 5. We can take our voicing for the G dominant 7 that we've seen before, and instead of playing something like this, we can omit the root and add the sharp 9. Again, a lot of tension going on, but overall the tension sounds kind of nice. That's kind of it. Let's do one last iteration. Let's do again a C dominant 7 to an A dominant 7 to a D dominant 7 to a G dominant 7. And we can play a regular C dominant 7, but then play an A dominant 7 with a sharp 9. That's basically what I've done here, is I've taken this voicing for the D dominant 7 sharp 9 that I've just played in the previous round of chords and transposed it up. Now for the D we can play just a D dominant 7 but flatten the 5. And finally for the G dominant 7 we're going to play a G dominant 9 but a sus4 version. So you see that what I'm playing here really is the 1st and the 5th, and kind of I can play in the right hand an F major. I can just move this up here. So you have this kind of sus4 voicing, which doesn't have tension, it just sounds nice. And throughout this, I'm keeping the top note fixed. Again, that adds to the cohesiveness of this progression. So I've shown you 3 ways to kind of go through these chords. This is the first. Here's the second. And finally, that's it. It's amazing how just playing around with these tensions really brings the progressions alive. That's it for today's lesson. I hope you've learned something interesting, and I will see you next time.